You are now entering the box. Welcome back to Inside the Box. Excited today. We got Doug Knight with Knight's Action Park. Thanks for coming in today.
Well, thank you. Good to be here.
Yeah. So I'm actually super excited. I one of the reasons I love doing this is I just like to hear people's stories, how they got going, what they got into. So let's take it way back. Your father started Knight's Action Park? Grandfather.
Yeah.
What year was that?
He started a golf range in 1930.
So it started with just the golf range?
Just the golf. His passion was golf, and that's what he did was golf only. My mom and dad started with archery range in 1952 at the golf range.
There was an archery range?
Yeah, it was all outdoors. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. But when we moved to this location, it was the first time we ever owned any land. And
well, that's what I was going to ask. How long has it been there?
We moved out there, started in 1975.
Okay.
And in 75, we operated a miniature golf course. It was still at 3000 South Grand East, where County Market is across from J.C. Penney's. And my folks actually started across the street where J.C. Penney's is. And then when they purchased that land, they got booted across the street. And my grandfather's golf range was across from Huber Pontiac, which was east of them on Dirksen Parkway.
Huh.
And so they turned the golf range around, shortened up a mile go-kart track, and moved everything else across the street. My grandfather kind of just retired and just only taught golf. That was his passion, was teaching golf.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I had no idea that you guys used to be out there. I was going to say, I can't imagine that part of the town you're at now back then. I'm like, how did anybody? I was going to ask, how does anybody get over there? Yeah.
Well, actually, where that overpass is, there used to be a stoplight right there. So I was 36. Yeah.
Ah, that's craziness. Yeah, I follow that. What is it? Springfield Rewind or something. They always post like old pictures of like veterans when the mall's being built or something. It's always cool to see some of that stuff.
Well, that's the same time we moved out there as when White Oaks Mall was being built.
Yeah.
So there was nothing on the west side of town.
Actually, you know what we should do? I know we were talking about adding some more history stuff to the website. It'd be kind of cool to provide some of those photos to that Springfield Rewind page. There's a lot of people that follow it.
Olivia was going through some photo albums that my dad had maintained over the years. Now, I don't know how much is in there, but there's some pretty historical things that she's come across.
Yeah, that's got to be cool. One thing my dad did before he passed away that was super helpful is he digitized like almost all of our photos.
Yeah.
He was literally on a scanner, like one photo. And then later I didn't realize it, but I was like, damn, there's services that could have done this for you. You probably spent like 100 hours just digitizing all these photos.
And there are, scanning those in, that'd be a big job.
Oh my gosh, yeah, and then cropping them and straightening them out and stuff. But it's nice to have them all digital.
Well, you grew up around technology, apparently. See, I didn't, so I'm technologically challenged, I think.
Yeah, my brother was the main person. He was super into, like, he was in the mix of it when like internet started first coming around, and he taught me to build like computers at a really young age, which was pretty neat, which not many people do these days. So it's kind of a cool skill to still have.
Yeah.
So you said 1975?
1975 and 76 was our official first year, which was the bicentennial year for the United States.
So what was the first at your land out where you are now? You said it started off with miniature golf.
We had what's the dry side of the park, which they now call Family Entertainment Centers. Back then, we called it a recreation center. So it was Knight's Recreation Center when we moved out there, and then when they put in the water slides on the hill, they moved 90,000 yards of dirt off the south side of that lake out there and built that hill, because that's the way they did it. Prior to the fiberglass slides that we have out there, they were concrete slides, and water slides actually started in campgrounds out west, and then they came up with the idea of doing it out of fiberglass. And they still built slides on the ground, and then eventually they went to towers. Nobody's building slides in the ground anymore, so everything's on towers.
I never even thought about that. That's pretty unique then that you guys have the hill still. And all that dirt just came where that pond is.
It is. Well,
Yeah.
that pond was was a borrow pit for the predecessor of the overpass that we have now. There was an overpass just to the east of that, which and then they did the railroad relocation and moved the rail down parallel to Interstate 72. So they needed a longer overpass. So then they built a second overpass to the west of that one. And then when that one was done, then they tore the other one apart and disposed of the dirt in the other borrow pit, which is down close to Route 4 on the other side of the interstate.
Huh. So how old were you when you got started out there? About.
At where we are now?
Yeah.
So I graduated from college in 1974, so I'd be probably 20 years old.
Okay. So had you, as a kid, I assume, were in the business? I mean, I usually most family businesses, you see the kids are pretty much living in it. They're there. They're getting watched there. Do you spend like all your time there growing up?
Oh, yeah. We started, working there when we were big enough to pick up a golf ball. So probably 4 or 5 years old, they'd give us a little bucket and go around and run around the field at the end of the day and pick up golf balls. And in the old days, you used what we called a hand picker. It was basically an old broom handle with angle iron on it and a tomato can bolted to it. And
my gosh.
Then you go around and you just ding, 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 ding in the basket. Fill up your basket, and then you dump it in baskets, dump them in a wheelbarrow, and then you go to baskets and then haul them to the ball washer, wash them up, get them in the building.
Talk about a process. How many siblings do you got?
I have 2.
Okay.
A sister and a brother.
I'm surprised I didn't have more to help pick up them balls a little faster.
Actually, my friends would come out and give me a hand because they were anxious for me to get out because, in the 70s, everybody was ready to go at 11 o'clock at night. So,
yeah.
And that's when we closed. So they'd stop by or they'd just wait for me to get done working, and I'd finally show up to wherever the action was going on.
Yeah, that's hilarious. Geez, I can't imagine cleaning up all those golf balls like that.
That's a lot. We've probably got 50,000 golf balls out there. I tell people you got to have a lot of balls to be in that business. I don't know what that means, but
that's what we got to put on the driving range page there.
See, in the old days, though, the batting cages, there was an 8-foot net in front of the batting cages, and you could actually hit the baseballs out into the golf range. And so we would have to go out and pick up the baseballs first, so then we can have ball pickers that go in front of we used to be a Ford 9N tractor. Would go circle around in a pattern, and because if you didn't get the baseballs out of the way, the baseballs would spread the wheels on the pickers, and then the pickers would start missing balls.
Break it.
So we'd get out there and start in the back of the field and pick up the baseballs and bring those in. And then as the golf balls were coming in, we'd be there to change baskets and start washing them and getting them in the building.
That's craziness. So then, what year did you say that the slides got built?
Those were built in 1980.
In 80.
I was actually working for an insurance company up in Minnesota at the time. And
so you took a break from the business?
Yeah, it was just a family entertainment center, and I didn't see, it wasn't big enough for everybody to be in that business, so I thought I'd just go find me another job. And then 1980, I got a call. It was in the spring, and my mom and dad said, "Hey, we're not going to make it because we got all this work to do." And so then I took a vacation and came down, and a friend of mine and myself built the deck up on top of the water slide hill and helped them get it all finished up so they can get open for the season.
Wow.
And I went back to work up in Minnesota and took a territory up in Bloomington after working in the home office for a year and a half, and got bored out of my gourd, just driving around and calling on auto dealers and implement dealers and hardware stores and stuff like that,
Gets a little repetitive.
Well, yeah, and that's the same thing day after day. And the beauty of our business is every day is not the same.
Yeah,
there's so much going on. I can do this, and if I get bored or tired or get stumped on a project, I can go do something else, and then the bell rings, ding, this is how you get that done, and I can come up with a better solution to what I was working on.
Yeah.
And then the folks decided, hey, we want to go into the corporate outing business. And so I said, perfect, I'll come down. And so we built a pavilion, and I came down and started marketing for corporate outings at the park. And we've been doing those since about 1981. So
That's awesome, man.
Yep.
Yeah, I remember, I lived out there in the summer. My mom would literally get us a season pass and then she would just drop us off out there, and you guys were my babysitter for the day.
I think we're a lot of people's babysitters for the day. There's a lot going on out there now. I mean, back when you were coming out,
it was basically just the slides, and I mean, eventually the river got added. What year did that get added?
1995.
Okay.
Seal Bay was in
So
92, and the river was next in 95.
Yeah, it would have been 10.
So,
but yeah, I mean, we had a blast. It was great.
That really turned us into a full-fledged water park. I mean, at that point in time, we're like, man, we'd really like to do a wave pool, because that's kind of the roller coaster of water parks. But we're like, we need that river because it ties the whole park together.
Yeah.
It kind of gives you like a little transportainment system, It's a transportation to get all the way around the park and also entertainment. So we decided we'd do the river so that we can have access by foot and by river to get all the way around the park. And then the wave pool came in 2000 after that. So
does when you're like looking at these projects, and I mean, you guys have just constantly added on to that place. How do you? Is it just kind of like, all right, time to add something new, like this is paid, you know what I mean? Or do you have like a plan on what you hope to do in the future? Or how do you usually look at that?
Yeah, there's never been a plan as far as what's going where, a master plan, is what they would call it now. Somebody would draw you a master plan for a water park, and then you would either build the whole thing or build most of it and then phase the rest of the rides in. We were just at the point where, well, we don't have anything for the little kids, and we tried like a couple mechanical rides, this thing called a roller racer, built a wooden maze, stuff like that. We didn't have anything water for the kids, and that's when we decided we need to have something water for the kids so the whole family could be entertained. Mm-hmm. And so in 92, we built Seal Bay, which that used to be a gravel parking lot where Seal Bay was. You would actually park there and do the water slides. We did rides for a half an hour. And so then at any rate, then we needed a family ride, and so we were going between the river and the wave pool, and decided we needed to tie the whole place together because we can't have people walking from over by the miniature golf course all the way around to get to the water park, and we just needed to tie the whole place together. So that's what we did there. And then this last year we put in a surf machine because we didn't have anything for the teens, not really a thrill water ride. And so that gives us a thrill water ride, and our staff really enjoyed it and did a great job coaching and teaching kids how to surf and things. So
yeah, no, that's cool. I like right in college, I wakeboarded a lot with friends, and we used to go down to Kansas City to a cable park down there. Have you ever seen those?
I have seen them. I've seen videos, not in real life.
And I was like, back then when in college, I was always like, man, we need to get Knights Action Park to turn their pond into a cable park.
Well, they did have one of those down in Orlando. We go down for the convention down there. It was on International Drive.
Yeah, essentially, it's just like a big, because I mean, I was poor growing up. I didn't have a boat. Like, luckily, I had friends that had boats, so I got to go wakeboarding. But it's such a cool way to be able to get out and wakeboard without having the cost of a boat. You know what I mean? And it's just a cable. Yeah, it just pulls you around the pond, and they were a lot of fun. But it's cool you added the surf machine because I mean you kind of get a little bit of that, And those first time I ever did one of those was on vacation in Cancun. They had one at one of the places we went to, and I remember I was like, man, this thing's awesome. I was a little bit cocky when I came out to get content, and I was like, I'm going to jump right on this thing. This is going to be easy. I've wakeboarded. I snowboard.
Yeah.
And, it was like the 3 tries or whatever. And in the last one, I was like, okay, I get it. And then I didn't wait again because there was a bunch of people waiting, so I didn't want to hold them up. But it's definitely different to do.
That's one of the first rides that I've never I don't want to say guinea pig, but have tested out.
Done yourself.
Because I've always been like one of the first people on all the rides, even like the speed slide on Bermuda Triangle, the Bowl, the Devil Ray, all that stuff. I mean, I've always ridden it after the guy that came in and supervised the ride that we were building. Usually the manufacturer of the water slide would come in and kind of supervise it, and then I'd put a crew together that will work with him, and I'd be part of that crew. And then when it was done, it's like, all right, let's fill her up and let's check it out, and so we do that. And this one, I'm, at 68 years old, I don't think I'm as agile as I used to be. And I don't really want to break anything at this point in time,
Yeah.
but man, I tell you, we had some lifeguards that did a really nice job on that thing. I mean, nobody was surfing, and one girl got up when we were training.
They were doing a good job helping people.
They did a fabulous job. I got some great compliments. I mean, we brought in to commission that ride, that the ride manufacturer actually brings in a surf instructor.
Oh, nice.
So this woman is married to another gentleman that is, they run the Ron John Surf Shop down in Cocoa Beach, Florida.
Oh, cool.
So they flew her in, and she's commissioned every ride they have ever built, the manufacturer. And she spent 2 days there, and I asked my leads to have all the leads and any lifeguard they think would be running this thing. So we had like 35 lifeguards there for 2 days training with this lady.
Nice.
And so she taught them everything, how to see if you're right or left foot dominant, and how to stand, and you know and how to get off, how to fall. And so they can teach them all this stuff so that they're safe, and they hang right in there with the kids, help load them, and make sure they're safe, and make sure they fall in the water rather than fall onto the loading ramp and things like that. So how did that? This is you can answer this however you want, but just out of a pure business curiosity, how did adding that affect your insurance? We're at a point right now where it really
Doesn't
didn't do
matter.
anything. I mean, the insurance company goes off your gross, and so it didn't really affect it. Although they did insist that anybody that was surfing would sign a waiver. So we asked for everybody to sign a waiver that went on that thing. So.
Understandable.
And
pretty popular though.
It was very popular. Yeah,
that's awesome. We
don't have any older people doing it, but lots of dads and some moms and lots of kids, and they did. I mean, all the kids got special attention. I mean, they were just coached from start to finish from when they came in, and we'd have a little class there for them for 6, 8, 10 people, and determine how they were going to ride, whether they go to the right or left side, depending on if they're right or left foot dominant, and then the kids would, our crew would then help them, assist them get on the ride, and show them how to stand, where to stand, and all that good stuff. So,
yeah. No, they did a good job. I saw several people stand up and surf that hadn't done it before when I was just there watching, and I was like, man, I can't believe some of these people are doing it, especially since I had so much trouble with it. I was so sure that I was just going to be like, whoop, I'm on there. But again, I've, snowboarded a ton and wakeboarded a ton, but it's just a little bit different to get used to the push of the water and where you have to kind of adjust your weight to. So, but I think if I did it one more time, I would have been out there the rest of the day.
I think
they would have had to pull me off there.
To me, the secret on that, just watching, not that I'm a aficionado or anything like that, but just watching my staff and how they started and how they ended up at the end of the season. The ones that are really good are really relaxed on that board.
Yeah.
If you're out there stiff and afraid and stuff like that, then you're not gonna last very long. But once you start relaxing and kind of getting in the groove, or
I think that's
hanging loose, or whatever you want to say,
I think that's how. I think that was part of my problem, is I was too stiff early on. And I mean, you say that, and it's exactly right, because in snowboarding and wakeboarding, like all that stuff, like the more just relaxed and kind of flow that you have, the easier it is.
Well,
and the less energy you exert, and the better you are. So no, you're 100% right there. It's interesting. You notice that.
The last time I rode something like that, I tried to teach my son how to skateboard when he got his first skateboard.
Oh yeah, that's a dangerous
one. And I went that way, and the skateboard went that way, and that was when I landed. They're going, "Are you all right?" And I'm like, let me just lay here for a minute. Just want to make sure I didn't break my hip or something like that.
Take a breather. Yeah, I never really skateboarded. I longboarded. I still do a little bit, but skateboarding I never really got into. I don't know why. I skated for a while when that was popular, but never got in this. Never did skateboarding. Longboarding was fun because it felt very much like snowboarding, and then eventually I bought a one wheel. You ever seen one of those?
I have seen those, yeah.
And that is like exactly like snowboarding. I love that thing. It's like you're snowboarding just on the road. A little bit sketchy, relying on the balance of that machine, so you don't face plant into the ground. But it's a lot of fun.
You're still doing that, probably, aren't you?
Yeah, I still got that, and it's a little bit of Again, I love snowboarding. I don't get to go that much these days with kids and stuff, but that gives me a little bit of a fix, I guess you could say.
I got a brother-in-law that had one of those when he first got it. He would show up at my mother-in-law's house, and I'm like, he's out there trying to do it, and I'm like, oh, man, don't. I would not do that.
You're definitely relying on technology quite a bit in that situation.
Yeah.
No, that's awesome. That's cool. You guys added that. I was excited to see that when you guys were adding that. That's a fun one. And the ray, what's it called again?
The Devil Ray.
Devil Ray.
Yeah.
Those are interesting because there's not many things that get your at least for me, I love roller coasters or again, snowboard, wakeboard. There's not many things that like get you nervous and still every time I'm about to go over the edge of that thing.
I think that's probably one of the most fun rides out there.
Yeah, it just gets you going, and and then if you go backwards even more, I guess it just feels like you're going to fly out of that thing. But.
Yeah, because you don't know what's going on or coming. So, actually, my oldest at 3 years old, she wanted to ride that, and she kept wanting to ride it, and I'm like, hey, after 4 or 5 times, I think I've had enough. Let's take a little break.
And did you add the bowl and that at the same time?
Bowl came 2 years after the Devil Ray.
Okay.
Devil Ray went in 2004 and the bowl in 2006.
Did you know that you'd be able to kind of tie that together with that tower then?
We bought the tower just especially so that we could add the bowl. We put in, could get that tower with narrower stairway, and we bought it with a wider stairway and had it built so that we knew exactly where the bowl was going to come off of it.
Nice.
Because it's the same manufacturer for both rides.
Yeah. Is there basically like just one or two manufacturers that make all that stuff?
The biggest manufacturers are in Canada. That's where all the good fiberglass seems to come from. There's one or two smaller manufacturers in the United States. But yeah, there's ProSlide and Whitewater, the two big manufacturers up in Canada. So,
do they typically have just like standard builds that you buy, or is it custom designed for your?
Well, the Devil Ray and the Bowl are all standard,
yeah.
And that's a Whitewater that both those came from. Actually, Whitewater bought out what's called Water Fun Products, built the Devil Ray, and then Whitewater bought that, and rest is history. There's a lot of them around the country. I mean,
but like those, like the triple slides over there. Was that like a standard thing that they sell, or is that
was I think that is a standard slide. Now that's that manufacturer is actually out of Poland. So,
oh, really? Wow.
Yeah, and it's some nice fiberglass too.
Yeah.
But they're making fiberglass in India. They're making fiberglass in Mexico. I mean, it's it just. And we talked to our engineer, and he's like, I don't think I get fiberglass from that company. Or, that company is all right, because...
It's the one to go with.
Well, yeah, because, you want things to line up when you start putting it together,
especially in that situation.
Yeah. So, yeah, that Devil Ray was pretty interesting. My dad tried to talk me into putting that in for a number of years, and I kept saying, I don't think so. It's not good right now. It's not good, so... But he finally got me to do it. See, when they first brought that out, they had a 1, 2, and a 3-person tube that they were doing that on.
Oh, they had a 3-person one.
Yeah. Well, and then I was talking to people that had that ride, and I'm like, and they would say, well, we got 2 problems with that ride. We got tailbone injuries and we got whiplash. And I'm like, well, tell me how they're getting tailbone injury. Well, when they ride that ride, you're supposed to hold your butt up and tuck your chin like this, and then keep it that way. And so when they rode that ride, and you got a couple G-forces when you're making that turn to go back up the hill, and their butt would slam down on the slide, and they would get tailbone injuries. And I go, why don't you tell me about the neck injuries? And they go, well, it's always the last person on the 3-person tubes getting the neck injuries. And I'm going, well, the solution for that sounds pretty easy to me. Don't use a 3-person tube, And but all these people are doing 1, 2, and 3-person tubes, and then I said, okay, let me see what I can do with that ride. So we went to the trade show, and I'm talking to all these tube manufacturers. I go, I want a Devil Ray tube. It's marketed as a Sidewinder. I said, I want a Sidewinder tube, and I want a seat in it. I don't want. I am not going to ride that ride. If I have to hold my butt up and my chin down, I'm not riding that ride because
Right.
it's uncomfortable. I mean, I'm just not going to do it. And everybody's saying, no, it can't be done. It can't be done. It can't be done. And so I found this guy. His name was Andre. He had a company up in Canada called Polymer, and he was building some real heavy-duty tubes. And I said, can you build me a tube with a seat in it? I just want a strap that's 6 inches wide that goes across the tube. He says, yeah, I can build that for you. And I said, okay, I'm going to build the ride. And then all these other manufacturers say, oh, man, you can put a seat in those tubes. So now everybody's building tubes with seats in it. But it makes the whole industry a lot safer. So it doesn't bother me that
Yeah.
come up with an idea like that and the whole industry's using it. I never got credit for it, but that's the way it goes. And Andre has since
Pioneer
passed
over
on.
here.
There's lots of things that we come up with a few ideas out there, and it's
always
helped a
interesting
lot of people out.
When someone's unwilling to rethink something
Yeah.
like that. You know,
Well, they're
what I
just
mean?
stuck in the rut. I mean, that's what they were doing. I mean, for 4, 5, 6 years,
Yeah.
everybody was doing it the same. This is what the manufacturer says: 1, 2, or 3-person tubes. It's like if the 3-person tube is hurting, that's that last person in the line on the 3-person tube is getting whipped off the top of that tire from the weight of the other 2 people.
Right.
And that was what was causing the neck injuries. So,
Huh. Interesting. Yeah, the 2-person seems like it kind of balances it out a little bit.
and you got 2 different
Even.
rides because you're facing each other now. And
Right,
those
you
other,
could switch it up.
yeah.
Yeah.
So the other way they were doing it, they wasn't. Everybody was facing forward and stuff. So.
Yeah, no, that's a fun one. Definitely gets me going. I did one up in Wisconsin, and it was I think it was like a 4 or 5-person tube, but you're essentially like, you would go in and you're in kind of a enclosed fishbowl a little bit, and then it has a big drop off kind of similar to that, but it's into pitch black.
Oh, okay.
So that one I was a little bit scared on that one because it's just like, I don't want to be the back. I don't want my back to be, because you don't know if your back's going to end up or not, because you're in this fishbowl and you're going to spin it around, and then you get to where it drops you, and yeah, it's just pitch black. And
That's one of those mammoth rides, I think, isn't it? I mean, they're pretty big rides, aren't they?
yeah, it was pretty big. After that, there wasn't a lot to it, but that was kind of the main thing to kind of scare you.
Because I know they got some of those that have like a 4-man raft or something on it, 4-person
I
raft.
think it was 4 or 5. Yeah, but so did you get to take the kids on a lot of what do I want to say, evaluation or checking out other water parks where their kids go get
Not
ideas?
Really. No, we're working. I mean, we're working all summer long. I mean,
Yeah,
there's
you
no
guys
such
are
thing as a
nonstop.
summer vacation for us. I mean, that's because we're working 7 days a week
Yeah,
at that point in time.
yeah, and that's your time, man. It's a busy time.
Yeah.
What? How many gallons of water you guys run through that place?
We're filtering 1 million gallons of water a day,
Jesus, that's
24
crazy.
hours a day. Yeah.
1 million gallons.
Those pumps turn on for filtration. I mean, the only reason they shut off is to maintain the pump or backwash the filtration. So, yeah, we go through a lot of chlorine. We probably do 700 or 800 gallons a week.
Jeez, and that's
That's a lot.
expensive.
Yeah.
I mean, just buying, like I have a saltwater pool at home, but we buy some shock or whatever for it when we're opening it. That shit is freaking expensive. Jesus Christ. So,
Seems like everything's doubled lately.
Oh my
I mean,
God, I can't imagine how that affects you guys. I remember it went on sale at the end of the year at Sam's Club, and I was like, well, I'm buying an extra box of this because this is like $100 a box. It was just ridiculous.
it's definitely the way to buy it. I mean, get it when it's on special. It's not going to go bad. I mean, the liquid does. If you get it, if you let it be exposed to air, it goes bad. But if it's closed up tight, I don't think it's going to go bad.
These are just like powder pockets or packets or whatever.
Yeah.
But with salt water, you don't need a ton of it, luckily. So, but yeah, I can't imagine chlorine. I feel like you'd be spending a ton between all that on a chlorine pool.
It does. And we use a stabilizer. We put it in the water as well, cyanuric acid. If you're using that at the right level, it cuts your chlorine usage in half. So
Is it hard to maintain like proper levels and everything? Or?
Not really. Every one of our pools are all computer controlled, and I actually have an extra one on hand. I have an extra everything on hand because if I have something go down, I got all kinds of parts. I can rebuild a pump in about 10 minutes, and I'm redundant. I mean,
yeah, because even if you lose a day,
yeah,
I mean, there's only how many days do you?
We figure 100-day season,
Yeah.
but then you take out maybe 5 for weather, and
Yeah.
operate Memorial Day through Labor Day, which is the traditional summer.
Yeah, and that's crazy. I mean, I don't think people think about that as like, you have this giant piece of land, all these property taxes, all expenses that go along with that. I mean, how many people are working out there?
We're sending out 241 W-2s this year.
Yeah, that's crazy. And, just the property taxes, all that stuff, and then you only have 100 days to not only make it all back, but make somewhat of a profit,
Hopefully. Hopefully, yeah, that's a lot of payroll. I mean, that's, it's every time the minimum wage goes up, I just cringe because it's like, oh man, I don't want to raise my prices, but I have to stay in business. As your expenses go up, you have to raise your prices just to stay even.
Yeah, and that's it's just you're having to deal with that on such a large level. It's hard to even fathom.
Yeah,
I got 12 people here, and our water bill's $50 or whatever.
You don't want to know what my utility bill is in the
imagine.
summertime. I'm running about $40,000 a month for my utility bill in the summertime.
Yeah, we had when we first moved into this building, the water bill was like, I don't remember. It was expensive, and I was like, "Why is this water bill so expensive?" So I called the city, and I'm talking to them about it, and they're like, "Well, you have a 1-inch line coming in there. That's an automatic extra $75 a month." And they're like, "Do you have a sprinkler system?" I'm like, "No." And I go, "How many bathrooms do you have?" I'm like, "Just 2 bathrooms with the men's is a urinal and 1 toilet, and the women's is 2 toilets." I'm like, literally less than a house. What's a house have? Like most houses have more bathrooms than us. And they're like, I don't remember what they said, like a quarter or like smaller. And I'm like, well, how do I get this reduced? So anyway, long story short, luckily they ended up working with me and coming out, and they just did like a step down out at the road and saved me $75 a month.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, my mother had a toilet that was running. I mean, how you got the float and maybe the arm is not adjusted just right, and then you hear that little trickle.
Uh-huh.
Or the float gets stuck, or the flapper might be old and dried out, and you might be losing a little bit of water there. Just to have that little piece of tubing spraying that water into that tank, if you let that run, that's 20,000 gallons a month.
Really? Jeez.
Just off a toilet, it can use up about 20,000 gallons a month, and that's just going to waste.
Yeah.
So if you hear that little trickle of water, man, you need to get on top of that because it's costing you a lot of money. Because you not only pay for the water, you also pay for the sewage as well.
Yeah, and water is interesting because it almost scares me more than fire. It just does so much damage, and half the time you don't know that it's doing it. And if there's a leak or something in a shower, and all of a sudden something's completely rotted out, and you have to have this whole thing replaced. And I definitely have a love-hate relationship with water. It's crazy how much damage it can do.
Yeah.
And it's hard to keep it sealed in, man. It just finds a way, no matter what you do.
It'll seek its own level, that's for sure.
And I can't imagine out there if there's one spot somewhere that you're losing a bunch of water. I'm sure that has. I mean, have you dealt with that? Has there ever been?
Chasing a leak? Yeah, that's no fun. I've had to cut holes in the deck to find a leak. I mean, we had one time where we were, you just saw a little water bubbling up through a crack in the deck. It's like, oh my God. See, I go around with a drill with a masonry bit and drill a hole over here. No, it's not coming up. Drill a hole over here. It's coming up a little bit heavier. Drill a hole over here. Yep, it's coming up really hard. Looks like this is a spot to cut the hole, to get in the deck. So we did that, and we had to maybe grow the hole just a little bit to one side to get in there and patch it. But man, it can be
As you've
Pretty bad deal.
as you've expanded, has it, like, I'm sure you have all kinds of pipes running throughout that place. Has it been a challenge? Have you had to like do any big reworkings of the water management or?
No, I mean we're careful in winterizing. We empty all the pipes and flush them with antifreeze, and it takes 4 to 6 weeks to winterize that place. And we went through about 28 55-gallon drums of antifreeze and
Jeez.
3 pallets of gallons, 210 gallons to a pallet. And then we use the jugs to pack all the skimmers and the main drains and any pump stations or anything like that. We pack them with those jugs so that if water gets in there, it collapses the jugs rather than crack or tear one of the sumps. So
yeah,
that's a lot of work.
Yeah, I pay someone to close our pool just because I'm worried about not doing it right. One little pipe getting messed up or freezing, and yeah, no, I can't imagine. That's craziness. So how deep is that pond out there? Is it pretty deep?
Well, when they first dug it, it was about 60 feet deep, and I think it's silted into about 45 feet. So that's over by the pavilion. They dug a real deep sump so they could dig the rest of it when they were doing that overpass. And they had a D9 cat dozer pulling with chains and another D9 cat pushing the scraper out of the bottom of that thing when they dug it. And then once they got that sump dug, it would collect the water. Then they kind of panned it out. And it might be about 8 feet deep over by the dock is where the pedal boats are. And from the back of the river where Dippin' Dots is over to where the pavilion is, a big rock on a point. If you drew a line between those 2 points, that's where we got our 90,000 yards of dirt for the water slide hill.
Okay.
And so it's probably about 5 feet deep in that area.
Nice.
So.
Yeah, geez. A lot of dirt pulled out of there.
A lot of dirt, yeah. Yeah.
It's funny when we were on road trips and, the kids are getting a little older now, so you can kind of explain stuff to them a little more. And we were driving to Maine a couple of years ago, and I was like, you see that little pond down there? And they're like, yeah. I'm like, that's called a borrow pond. And they're like, what do you mean? And I'm like, well, to build this overpass we're going over, they took the dirt from there. They borrowed the dirt to build the overrises, and they just thought that was the most amazing thing.
Yeah.
So every time we're out and about, they're like, oh, there's a borrow pond, Daddy.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, there's always one of those next to, when there's an overpass, there's almost always a borrow pond. So you guys this is a big year for you. It's your...
Oh, yeah, this is our 95th year in business.
95th year.
Yeah.
That's craziness.
It is
there's some sort of statistic.
quite a journey.
I can't think of what it is offhand, but it's like 80% of family businesses don't make it past like the 3rd generation, I think, or something crazy. So it's awesome to see... I'm sure you guys deal, again, like with pricing and everything getting more expensive, and it's just awesome to see and that you guys have been open that long and that you're, going strong.
Hopefully making the right decisions as we go along. I mean, you do make a few bad decisions on things that we purchased, like, well, that didn't work. Let's try and unload that someplace.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember when you guys had the bumper boats. I always loved those.
Those were a maintenance nightmare.
I bet.
I mean,
a bunch of
really
engines.
were.
All those, I can imagine.
First one was gasoline engines. They were all 2-stroke Suzuki motors, 2 horsepower, and just a lot of work. And then they're like, you ought to go to electric. Well, that wasn't any better either.
Yeah.
And then all those batteries and...
Yeah, no, I can imagine. I remember always seeing 1 or 2 kind of off to the side.
Yeah.
How long's the go-karts been out there?
My folks have had go-karts since...
You said they had them at the old location.
Yeah, they had go-karts. I remember when they opened that go-kart track. It was since the 60s. There were not concession go-karts being built. And so, excuse me, they bought Bug go-karts, which they built a racing go-kart. They were out of Azusa, California. And so they had got it apart and put it together, and I got on it first and immediately made a U-turn out of the pits and flipped it on top of myself. So that wasn't a good day.
Well, this isn't going to work. We got to do something here.
But they weren't concession go-karts. I mean, they were light,
Fast. Yeah. Would be
and
fun.
then a couple brothers up in Milwaukee called it was Johnson Karting, Kurt and John Johnson. We're building go-karts. And that's where our first concession go-karts came from.
I haven't heard that term, concession go-karts. We did some go-karts. We were in Gatlinburg and did some go-karts there. And, down in those, it's kind of like Branson a little bit. You ever been to Gatlinburg?
I have,
Yeah.
yep.
They got all the big setups for go-karts. It was pretty fun.
It's like the Dells now. I remember going through there when they were just kind of conceptualizing that whole area. And then Dollywood and all this other stuff started springing up.
Yeah.
Water parks and amusement centers and
yeah, it's pretty crazy up there. It's a lot of stuff going. I've only been up there. I think I've only been up there once, but that was where we did that other ride I was talking about, the big tube that dropped into the black hole.
You didn't like that ride, apparently.
I liked it. Again, anything that makes me a little bit scared or gets me a little nervous. It's hard to get that. When you ride on roller coasters and all that stuff your whole life, you get a little bit of adrenaline going. Actually, so my wife and I started dating, and we had kind of been talking a little bit. But one of our first big kind of, I don't know, I guess it was just a small trip together, I should say. We went up north and went skydiving. And that was interesting.
I bet.
I don't know if I'd do it again, especially now that I have kids, but it was a cool experience. Just that whole moment before you drop out of the plane.
So you both did a tandem jump then? Or?
Yeah. And it was definitely got the adrenaline going a little bit.
I had some friends that used to skydive. They had lots of jumps. Back in the 80s, we did a thing out at the park. We were always looking for stuff to just create interest. We put together an ultralight show because I was a pilot and used to learn how to fly shortly before then, and my dad was a pilot, and he'd like to go and
cool.
Get his twin engine rating or go down to Winter Haven, Florida, and get a seaplane rating with some friends and stuff like that. And I haven't flown for 40 years at least. So, but these ultralights, I mean, they're just have a small 2-cycle engine on them, and you probably see the paragliders around here. There's some people that fly some paragliders out of Pawnee, I think. So,
are those the things with the big fans on them?
Yeah. They sit in like a cart with a motor and a propeller behind them, and then the paragliders have a parachute. They're flying, and but most of these look like I guess you could call them experimental aircraft. They didn't FAA didn't know what to classify them as when they first started coming out, but a lot of people were building these things, and so we had them come all from up around the Chicagoland area, down in Missouri and stuff. We probably had 40 or 50 ultralights out there flying off the back of the golf range, and so these guys were doing skydiving and stuff. We'd have a skydive jump, and then Mike Bolash out of Diver, and he did a water jump where he released himself and landed in the pond. And it was just really cool.
Yeah, that's super cool.
Yeah.
And you guys do. So when did you start doing the the haunted house out there?
3 years ago.
Haunted.
We call it Frights Action Park.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of what to call the haunted path, or I guess you could say. Yeah.
Yeah.
You said 3 years ago?
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, well, we took the team out there this year, and I gotta say that was cool. It was really neat.
Cool. That's a lot of work. I
bet building all that stuff.
Yeah, and a lot of labor. That's a huge amount of labor. So we're gonna turn the corner on that and probably do something a little bit different on the dry side of the park. It's some sort of a daytime event or something. So it's just way too much work. My time can be better spent in winterizing the water park and stuff, because we do it in the water park, and boxes everything in, and it's hard to get around and get your work done. So
Yeah, I could see
my
that.
time would be better well spent in maintaining and winterizing the water park so that I don't have any problems when it comes time to open up, because I don't want
Yeah.
to forget anything when I'm winterizing. So
Yeah. That
And,
comes pretty quick after the season's over too.
yeah, you never know when that weather's going to turn, you know. And I don't like to be out there when it's freezing trying to pump water and stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, it's no fun.
How long does it take to drain and fill that place?
It takes about, 6 weeks to get it all buttoned up, and it takes, I don't know, it takes 6 weeks to.
Get it ready to go.
As soon as the weather breaks, we'll start working on the water park, getting things cleaned up, looking for leaks, doing some painting. I've got some, fiberglass props out there that need to get painted. We're bringing in somebody to paint those and do some maintenance. Of course, the temperatures have to be right to do all that stuff. So,
Yeah.
do
Do you find that stuff gets faded pretty quick?
the reds are the worst. The reds
'Cause
always
it's dark.
fade. It's just, for some reason, reds just fade in the sunlight. So I try to steer away from that. I mean, you're forced to do it on occasion, but I mean, it does. You can tell the sun really takes its toll on it because it kind of chalks.
Yeah.
So
And then how long have you been doing fireworks out there?
we started doing fireworks when Lincoln Fest stopped in downtown Springfield. And I don't remember what year that was,
Okay.
but it was probably in the 80s sometime.
Okay.
And they stopped doing fireworks, and nobody was doing fireworks in Springfield. And we just thought, somebody has to shoot fireworks for the Springfield community.
Yeah.
And we've been shooting fireworks ever since. And what's different of us than anybody else is we're always going to shoot on the 4th of July no matter what day of the week it lands on. Everybody else around here is
Nice.
shooting on Saturday night because
Yeah.
that's
I guess I've
when
never
the
paid
money's
it-
to be made.
Yeah,
so,
I guess I've never paid attention to that.
Yeah. So, but
And
I think
do you even really-
Independence Day is on the 4th of July to me.
For sure. Do you even make? Do you even make any money doing that?
No.
Yeah, it
No.
seems like it's more of a community thing than
Hey, if
anything.
you want to chip in, you can light some money on fire too if you want to chip in.
Yeah, no, that's because I was just thinking about it. I'm like, people are parked all over the place watching that. It's like
They
not
do.
really-
I mean, for probably a mile around. I mean, they're all down. What's Toronto Road? And I can't remember what it turns into down there. I'm drawing a blank, but
Yeah, we used to sit. We've been obviously all over the place over the years, but I remember the last time we were up over by Lincolnshire on the overpass, just pulled over right there watching them.
yeah,
Well, it's cool you do that.
yeah. I'm sure they're over. At Menards, I believe, is closed that day, and everybody's setting up their grills over there in their parking lot. And
Didn't think about
they
that.
park in the Myers store lot. They park at Shields on MacArthur Boulevard. The state don't park on the interstate. The state police have no
I
sense of
don't
humor.
like
So
that. Yeah. No, well, that's cool you do that because it's definitely. I can't see how you would even can't charge people when they're 100 feet in the air, or whatever they are.
You have to do
You can
something
see
for
that
the
anywhere.
community. I mean, people would be so disappointed when we first shot fireworks. It wasn't a. I don't want to say it was a disaster, but it was a learning experience because we
I
thought,
can imagine.
we closed at 11 o'clock at night on the golf range. So we thought, we'll just shoot them after we close for the evening. Well, then we got all kinds of complaints the next day. Oh, my kids fell asleep. Oh, it was too late. And it's like, okay. So we figured out what time. So then we've always shot at 9:30 no matter what. We just shut off the golf range lights. We don't start the movies until after the fireworks are over, and then it all works out just fine.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I can imagine that'd be a
that's a late night for
getting
kids.
that
Though.
figured out. The when did the drive-in? Because the drive-in was there, and then it was shut down for a while, right?
The drive-in was open probably in the late in the 70s. It opened up before we got there, so probably in the early 70s,
Okay.
71, 72, the drive-in. Actually, that whole area was going to be, it was marketed by Leonard Sapp and his group as Green Meadows Recreation.
Oh, really?
And so that was actually the Green Meadows Drive-In at that point in time. And then since Chatham Road's and then the Route 66 Drive-In was on South 6th Street where, Fit Club and all that stuff is in there. There used to be nothing in that area. That was all the that was all the Route 66 drive, and it was a huge screen and one screener. And they went out of business at the same time. That was the brought on by cable TV and VHS players came out at that time, and that kind of drove the nail in the coffin for drive-ins. And of course, then there for a year or two, they experimented with XXX movies and stuff on those screens. So you'd have people pulling off the interstate at the Springfield Drive-In, where South Grand, there was a Springfield Drive-In behind Jeffrey Buick there, and then they had the Route 66 Drive-In, and then I don't think the Carasotas did it at their Drive-In, but they tried it at the Green Meadows Drive-In.
That's
of course,
a weird one.
But we got families out on the Mirrors Golf Course, and the kids are pointing like this, and I was like, I'm getting on the phone the next day. Hey, you know what? We're running a family operation here. We really can't have this going on. So I may have called some city officials or something like that, and then tried to hunt down the owners. And you just can't have it going on next door. But that was really short-lived. I mean, it didn't last more than a season or two. And then that closed up, and then we had an opportunity to purchase it, and we pretty much just let the Sangamon County Quarter Midget Club race on one side of it for probably, we bought it in 92 and didn't reopen it until 2002, so they raced there for probably almost 10 years.
Okay.
I don't even remember if we even charged them any rent. We just kind of did something for the community, Yeah. So you got these kids from 5 years old to 16-year-old racing those quarter midgets, and it was pretty cool.
That's cool.
And then we decided for my folks' 50th anniversary of being in business, we'd reopen the drive-in theater, and so that's when we reopened it in 2002. And called it the Route 66 drive-in, and then the next year I think we came back with the second screen because we had to fill in the hole where the quarter midgets were racing and stuff like that. And they had found a new home at the Christian County Fairgrounds over in Taylorville.
Okay.
And got a real nice track over there. It's pretty cool. My kids raced a little bit over there one season.
Yeah, it's interesting that it kind of died off there. It's such a different experience. It's even with the VHS and all that stuff. I guess maybe just because it was so new that people were excited to be able to watch movies in their house.
Yeah. Well, in 2002, there was a little renaissance going on where actually it kind of turned around where some drive-ins were reopening, and actually more drive-ins were reopening that were closing. But, as the town grows out and that property gets to be more valuable because they were all built outside the cities, and as the town grows that way and the land becomes more valuable, and, of course, not many people are going to the driving at that point in time because of their entertainment options, and it was just better for them to sell than it was to operate the thing. So, so it was going really well, and then when COVID happened, and that was kind of the end of that. So they weren't making movies, they weren't releasing movies in 2019, 2020, and so it's last year we had a pretty decent year. We cut back from 7 nights a week to 5 nights a week.
Yeah.
And it looks like there's going to be a great lineup coming out this year. So
nice.
I don't know what's going on, but the movie theater companies are making more movies, or maybe it's because, I don't know, a lot more people getting in the film business. You see all these movies Netflix is making, and
right.
Jeff Bezos is making, and you see all these film company names and stuff. But
yeah, it is interesting. I never thought about that from that perspective, but well, that's cool. It's doing well. It's definitely a neat experience, and we again, the kids are pretty young, so like you said, they kind of fall asleep earlier. If you keep them up too late, then they just become a big pain in the butt, crying and stuff. So, this year I think it'll be fun to take them out there to experience that. Yeah,
you don't have to get a babysitter or anything like that. If they do fall asleep, just got to carry them in the house, put them in their jammies where you come out, and they're ready to go.
Yeah, there you go.
So
sleep in the car and drive home. That is something my wife started doing whenever we are going somewhere. We know we're going to be there late. She just brings her jammies. So you can just get them into it, and then it's easy when you get home just to transfer them to bed.
Yeah. Well, on a late night, I'll tell the projectionist, hey, I'm going to be out in my truck. Do you want to wake me up before you go home? So So your kids aren't the only ones falling asleep during the movie, but you know,
How's that work in that? Is there like a specific company you have to work with to like pay for the rights to play the movie, or?
I have a booking agent that we book through.
Oh, okay.
And, she takes care of all it, and she books movies for several hundred theaters. So, and she has a team, and she knows what's hot, what's not, and you know some of these movies, and you're locked in. Most of the movies you have to take for 2 weeks. So if you get a dud, guess what? You're stuck with that dud for 2 weeks. If it's a Disney movie, they've started where you have to keep the movie for 3, maybe sometimes 4 weeks.
Really? Wow.
So if it's not doing well, guess what? You're stuck. Now, I'm fortunate I've got 2 screens to work with, so I've always usually have a screen in rotation. But if you are a 1-screen drive-in, I mean, you can lose a couple weeks by not booking the right movie. And so, you know, you'll have places that won't take a movie because they're not hearing anything good about it. And then they do, I just learned this a year or 2 ago. She said, you know, I could go to a screening down in St. Louis where they invite theater owners that can come in and actually watch the movie before it gets released to see if you really want to book it. But I don't have time to do that in the summertime.
Yeah.
So
that's cool, though. That's helpful. I didn't realize that's how it worked.
So she can tell me. She'll tell me, yeah, it's not any good. I went and saw it. Or, you know, I don't know. There was the movie last year was about the atom bomb. I don't remember what the name of it was.
Oh, yeah. God, I can't think of it. I haven't watched it yet. I've been wanting to watch it. But.
Yeah. She said, it's a good movie, but it's all dialogue. People are just
Right.
not going to. It's definitely an adult movie, but it's just all dialogue. There's no action in it or anything like that, you know. And so she'll try and steer me away from it, and I'll say, no, I really want to see that movie. I really want to see that movie.
I want to watch it.
And then you get that movie, and it's like, oh, man, I should have listened to her. You know?
So how did, was that a learning process? How'd you get connected or like figure that whole business out with finding the agent and just talking to people? Or
yeah, pretty much. I mean, you know, when they, the gentleman that bought the movie theater in between us and when the film company sold it, he was knocking all the ramps down, which is where you park. He was knocking all those down. So he's going to put soccer fields out there. And so I called him up and I said, hey, how'd you like to make a quick $20,000? And he thought about it for a week or 2. And he said, yeah, I'll do that. I got my eye on another piece of property. It's going to work out better for me anyway. So, and so anyway, we did it. And then I had to get online and figure out how to design a movie theater because it was flat ground. And so I found some plans for a drive-in and then got an excavator out there. And lo and behold, when he was running his motor grader around there, we found all the humps just exactly where they were. We
Nice.
just staked it all out and got the curves just right. And we really got lucky on finding exactly where the ramps were. And then hauled in 40,000 tons of rock or 400,000 tons of rock or however much we had to haul in. It was like 4 inches thick, that whole 12.2 acres out there. So, yeah, and this started calling up some film equipment suppliers, and I found some good used equipment out of Memphis, Tennessee, I think it was. And they hooked me up, got me all set up, and asked them about booking movies, and they said you need to find an agent and all that. And here's a couple names that we know, and so I called around and found a guy that would do it for me, and then he started having health problems, and he turned me on to the one we're with right now, and then a few years back, then the film companies decided they were going to get away from film because we were running 35 millimeter film, so you had what they were telling me looked like some sort of a I don't know, some kind of a cassette. It was a platter system is what it was. So there were these huge discs that were like 6 to 8 feet in diameter. There were 3 of them stacked on this platter, and as the film would pull, it would set off a micro switch and tell this motor to drive, so it would feed the film. Your projector's pulling the film out, and it's going back, and then micro switch would tell it to reel up on this next reel because you'd have 2 movies loaded up on this platter. And you'd have an empty platter on it, and so you would come off of one, and it would feed back onto the other and wind it up so it's ready for the next night. And then then you would change the film in between in your intermission to play the second movie, and then it would wind up on the top platter.
Jeez, 6 foot platter. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Wow.
Because these things would come in, they're like 30 minutes on a reel, which is, 16 inches in diameter. And so you had to run it through your machine. And my projectionist, he's done movies forever, and Bob's as old as I am, and would run through. And you get an old movie where the film's dried out, and he would try and maybe, oil it or something to give it a little bit more life, or he'd find a crack where it was going to break and maybe cut a frame out or something and then splice it together. But you'd have to splice all of those reels together.
Yeah.
And then when it's all over, you have to have your markings on there, so you'd have to cut them apart at the splice so you can box them back up and ship them back out.
Jeez.
And so all these films are coming in overnight. Usually there's a depot down in St. Louis, so that we come in, and then sometimes you wouldn't get one. And it's like, hey, we're short a movie. And they're going to let me find one. Oh, Carasotas has got one. They'll if you want to run over there and pick it up, you can pick it up, And so then it would check out of that theater, and we can get it, or it would come in from another theater, from another state. Everything's overnighted in that industry. But anyway, a number of years ago, I don't remember how long it was, definitely before COVID, the film companies are telling themselves, I don't know what it costs to make all this film. They were going to go to digital, so now you're getting these metal hard drives they're shipping out.
Yeah. So
you're getting these hard drives, and then you download it into your server, and then you play off of your server.
Okay.
So everybody in the industry had to convert over to digital projectors. So that was quite a expensive, lengthy process.
Yeah.
And so now what's coming is laser lamp houses. And so we have one laser lamp house out there on the screen number 1, which faces to the east.
So you don't have to change bulbs? Is that?
You don't have to change lamps, no. And your typical lamp, I don't think it lasts for 700 hours or something like that. And they're $2,500 a piece.
Yeah.
And as they get older, he has a meter on the projector, and he can tell how many hours is on the lamp. And when it gets over 500, he'll start paying attention to what's the brightness of it or something. And hey, we need to get another. We usually keep one on hand anyway, but.
So is that what the laser's replacing?
Laser's replacing the xenon lamp.
Okay.
So.
Yeah, I've looked at. They have those short throw projectors now that are interesting, where you just put it basically right in front of whatever screen you want and it just projects it, super wide. I've looked at them for my basement. My TV in my basement's pretty old, and I'm just thinking about whenever it goes out, what to replace it with. But yeah, it's interesting what projector technology has done.
Well, they used to have a 70 millimeter film, which was quite big. Then it went to 35, and they started out with carbon arc. So that's like you have two electrodes that touch each other, and it throws an arc. It's like a welding arc.
Huh.
And the old World War II spotlights were a carbon arc. That's what.
Really?
By touching those electrodes together, that's what made that light, and then you had that big mirror on the back. We had purchased one of those and used it and on special events and did some rentals and stuff like that, and then it got too hard to get parts, and so we donated it to a military museum up in Lincoln at the airport out there.
Interesting. Yeah, that's pretty cool. It's interesting, I bet, to experience all the changes. You know what I mean? I mean, you have so many different aspects of your business that they're all changing constantly. So it's probably a little frustrating at the same time, but just experiencing those changes in technology and how things are done, and like the slides. I never even thought about that. Like, oh yeah, their slides are on a hill. They probably never built them on, steel posts before.
No, never did.
Yeah.
Never did.
Yeah, no.
It just evolved, and now pumps these days. I mean, you just used to turn on your pump and run at full speed, and you'd valve for how much water you need and what your water flow needed to be. And you have flow meters in your pipes and stuff to tell what all that is. And now they have what's called, and this is not new, I mean, it's new in the past, 10, 15 years, I guess, what's called a variable frequency drive. And so even like your pool at home, you may be able to slow your pump down or speed it up if you have a variable speed pump. And so, just by slowing your pump down 10%, you might save 25% on your electricity.
Wow.
So if I have to valve a pump down to get if my pump's putting out too much water for my system and I have to pinch the water down, I'm wasting all that electricity and pumping capability. Why not slow my pump down?
Yeah.
And then I get the flow that I need and I save all that electricity.
Yeah.
And so many of our pumps out there are running off of that technology now. So
Interesting.
I don't think it helps our surf machine pumps. Those are 260 horsepower pumps that are running all day long.
Blasting some
They're
water.
sucking some juice down, I'm telling you.
Yeah. No, that's crazy. Is the stuff that runs the surf machine, is it all kind of similar to everything else, or was it a whole new learning experience when it comes to the pumps and stuff like that?
No, it's the same. I mean, just everything's bigger.
Yeah.
Everything's bigger because we have the capability of pumping 51,000 gallons a minute with those two pumps, and they can slow them down to make a boogie board wave, or speed them up and make a surfing wave.
Okay.
Now the company that makes that, they've gone on to make some real surfing machines. They're probably 5-7 times bigger than our wave pool, where they'll run a multitude. We have 1,000 horsepower blower that's running our waves. They may have 12 or 13 of those making their waves, and so they're sucking down so much electricity. They have to get together with the city and make sure that their harmonic balance of their energy draw is not going to shut down that part of the city.
Huh.
So
pulling some energy, man.
Yeah, well, you're running 12 or 13,000 horsepower.
I've seen some of those. Where was there a point where you had? Were you looking at? I know there's some of those surf machines that aren't even like in the ground, like you have it. Was there a reason you chose that route as opposed to some of them that I've seen that are like, I guess, above ground or not? Are those usually indoor?
No, those are fiberglass. Number one. There's just a lot of pressure. I don't know that I would trust something like that. There's a lot of pressure. that's a lot of water flow.
Yeah.
And there's some adjustable gates to where we can adjust the water flow. But where they are right now, I don't see us ever changing that because we needed what we've got in order to make our machine do what we needed to do. So, and I don't even know why those are there because I think they're wide open. So.
Well, that's awesome, man. Yeah, so it's really cool that you guys have been around so long, that you've kept adding. It's something that I don't think people probably appreciate as much as they should, like having that in our town. You know what I mean? It's just such a great thing to have in the summertime, especially most people don't have pools, and even if you have a pool, you're not. Water slides are completely different. And it's just like, a lot of people drive hours to get to places like that. Yeah. And you can just drive across town and it's right there.
Well, I think it's pretty good value. We're giving them a lot for their money. There is so much to do out there now. It's just unbelievable. Yeah. Lots of people, they'll come in the park and they'll go, gosh, I didn't even know all this stuff was back there. Because there's so much that's hidden that you can't see from the road. Yeah. When you walk into the park, it kind of opens up once you walk around the river and you see all this other stuff going on. And it's like, wow. Yeah. You can definitely, and you don't have to stand in line for a half an hour to get on a ride and stuff like that either. So
no, it's pretty damn quick. Yeah. Even when the line's long, it just moves fast. I've been to whatever, Six Flags or something. It's like, damn, I'm waiting forever. When we were in, where were we at? Was it while we were in Gatlinburg? Yeah, it was. We were at, is it Dollywood in Gatlinburg? I think it is.
Yeah, Dollywood, yeah.
Yeah, and to get on one of we only got to ride 2 water slides because of just how long, we had to wait. But out there it seems like it always moves super fast.
We try. We try. You don't have to pay for parking. You don't have to rent tubes.
Everybody seems to hit you up on that stuff.
It's getting nickel to dime to death when you go into a park. We've never done that. I don't know how I would do it. We're not set up for that either. I kind of feel good about, you don't, here, give me $10 for this. And right. $30 a park before you even get in the gate or whatever. And
you wonder if people even think about that.
They don't.
Because I didn't. I never really thought about that. But you're right. We pay. Actually, in Dollywood, you pay to park, or you can pay a little bit more and park closer.
Right. Get that
So,
premium
yeah.
parking up there for double the
If
money.
we got the kids, I'm like, all right, let's just spend the extra $5 and get a little closer. But yeah, no, I never thought about that out there. Yeah, you guys aren't hitting them up for little things like that. So it's something to keep in mind when you're thinking about what the cost is to go to the water park.
I tell people it's, that doesn't matter what they charge you to get in, it's how much it costs you to get out. Is, the
Yeah,
big
there you
thing.
go.
So,
Yeah.
that makes us a lot different. And people, like you say, they just don't. You don't see it because you're just seeing that ticket price is what
Yeah.
you're seeing. You're not seeing the extras that's going to cost you to get where you need to be.
Yeah, and business is tough. They think everybody's freaking making millions of dollars and hand over fist. You know what I mean? But it's like, no. Like I was just telling, I don't know if Ryan, if you were here, but I got my bill for plowing, like, just during that little bit of snow, like last month or whatever it was, and I was like, well, it just cost me $1,000 because it freaking snowed. It's like, God damn it.
No, it never ends.
Yeah.
It's bing, bing, bing. The bills just keep coming in.
Gosh.
Got to
Yeah.
advertise and insurance and taxes and
So
payroll and
the something else I wanted to mention is that the splash pad that you guys added with the all the stuff for the kids is really awesome. My
Thank
kids
you.
loved that this last year.
appreciate that. We put a few things in there that, I have a daughter that's in a wheelchair, and I thought, you know what, let's put a couple extra things in there that somebody in a wheelchair can actually have fun with. So we did that, where they can't climb stairs to slide down a slide. She's got some things that she can roll through and around and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
it's kind of cool. So
It was fun giving the GoPro to a bunch of the little kids in that area. They were so excited to run around with it.
I bet.
They started lining up. They're like, can I do it next? Can I do it next? And I'm like, yeah, be careful with it. But yeah, no, I got some good footage from that. It was really neat. So what, 95 years? You guys,
95 years
you guys-
of creating family memories in Central Illinois.
you guys got anything special planned for 95 years?
This year, we're just getting everything spruced up, looking good. Going to still shoot off fireworks,
Yeah.
I asked my team, I go, man, do we really need to shoot off fireworks? Oh, we've been doing it for so long. We've been doing it for over 40 years. Why not? Let's just
Well,
light some
especially
more
when
money on fire,
Yeah, and it's like, again, with everything getting more expensive and just trying to see where you can save, and it's like, fuck, we don't make any money here. I could totally understand where you're coming from there. My cheap ass would probably be like, yeah, we're going to cancel that this year.
I don't think I'd live it down if I did.
Yeah.
So like I say, everybody thinks 99%, 95 cents on the dollar's profit, and it's just, you're lucky if you keep a penny or two out of that dollar. I mean, it's just unbelievable. So,
Well, definitely the best bang for your buck is getting that season pass.
it is.
You can just go out there as much as you want.
We got another sale coming up during Easter.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's going to be a good deal. So
Do we want to share what the sale is for Easter?
I think it's 109 is going to be the
109.
Easter price.
That's awesome.
And they're going to go up, and then we'll do a 24-hour sale on Mother's Day, and then they'll be full price.
All right. So definitely get your season passes.
It's time to get your game on and stop sitting on a fence. And also, if you're looking for a summer job, man, this is the time we're going to start interviewing this weekend. So
Okay.
And, they got to be 15. They don't need to know anything. We have 5 lifeguard instructors on staff. We were at the pool over at Illinois College over in Jacksonville, which is a very nice facility over there.
Nice.
They come down to the park. We load them on a bus because we don't want anything happening to them on the drive over there. So we want to make sure they get there safe. So we charter a bus, take them over there, and
Wow.
give them a little dip for 8 hours a day for 2 days on a weekend.
That's got to be kind of fun for them, I would think.
A lot of kids
Bunch
even
of kids getting together. and-
Yeah. Well, you may not know a lot of people, but man, you grow up with have lifelong friends after a summer out there, and if you string a few together, I mean, some of our best employees have come in at 15 and worked all the way through college. I mean, and then they go on to do great things in their life because they just, I don't know,
It's such a, when I've been out there later in life, I'm like, why did I not work out here in the summer? It's like such a great summer job. You know what I mean? For
Yeah.
a kid, it's awesome.
That's a lot of fun.
You're out in the sun. There's other people. You know what I mean? You're just
Yeah.
yeah. It just seems like a great.
They do in service. I mean, when I learned to be a lifeguard instructor back in 1992 when we built Seal Bay, and I was a little apprehensive and going down to Florida and doing this with a bunch of people from around the country I never knew. And I was granted a little bit older than what these kids are when they learn lifeguarding, but they're not learning how to teach at that point in time either. So, but if you just relax and just enjoy the moment, and it is a lot of fun. You go in, it's like, man, I'm really nervous. There's no reason to be nervous. Everybody is in the same position as you. Nobody, only people that know anything are maybe some returning guards and a lot of the new guards. I mean, they're thinking the same thing you're thinking. Just enjoy and just understand the concepts and how to do this and how to do that. And then we work on drills, and you get really comfortable and relaxed. And you got this tube that'll support 700 pounds of weight in the water. What have you got to worry about?
Is that what their floaties support?
They will hold 700 pounds
Holy
in the
moly.
water. So I've seen videos of people out east where they have those drop slides, and they'll load 3 kids on a tube and then bring them in.
Wow.
Because one after
Never would've
another,
guessed.
they don't know how to swim. And they're going down. Grab them, pull them up, pull them on the tube. They get away. Next thing you know, another one drops in. They go back, grab that one. Okay, I got to go unload,
So, do you guys have any secret future slides or any attractions planned that we can let the cat out of the bag?
No, not on the drawing board right now. No, I've always got things in my mind. I've always dreamt about a roller coaster, but I can tell you that's not going to happen right now.
Yeah.
So, I dream about a train. I dream about an indoor play place. I dream about lots of stuff. So.
Yeah. Have you thought about that much? Something that you could have, like, that would operate year round?
I think that'll be the next thing on the horizon.
How much land do you guys got out there?
We've got 60 acres.
Okay.
When we moved out there, it was 43. And then on the and then we bought the drive-in in '92, and that was 12.2 acres. And then there's it was 5 acres between the drive-in and the driving range. It was supposed to be a rifle and pistol range, and we acquired that prior to getting the drive-in. So that kind of solidified the 60 acres. So.
Okay. How much are you using currently then? How much extra space is there to...
We're using it all. But we can work around a few things. If you're putting in a water slide or something, you can always put some curves in it to get around stuff. So, but if we did an indoor thing, it'd probably be where the golf range building is, and it's due to be replaced anyway, I think. So,
yeah.
But I'd like to have an indoor play place where we could do some nice parties in the wintertime and what have you.
At least keep a little bit of money coming in the off season.
Yeah, we've got trade winds out there, and
how's trade winds been?
It's doing pretty good. We've got some great food. It does look like a machine shed. A lot of people don't know it's there, but it's we got a nice
out there that was super good. I think it was cheese curds, maybe. Or I don't remember what it was. There was something that we ordered that I was like, damn, these are really good.
Well, the pork tenderloin's kind of a signature thing.
Okay.
I don't know. We
try
don't
that
toot our
next
horn
time.
on it very much, but if you like salmon, our salmon BLT will rock your world.
Okay.
Club sandwich is amazing. I'm a creature of habit, so I get stuck on something, and that's all I eat for a while. And it's like, boy, I got to have a change. Then you can move on to something else, and you get stuck on it. But yeah.
A few years back, I did the bike night out there, and I got drawn as one of the finalists for the bike, or they do the drawings at all different places. Yeah, I was out there. They had a concert going and everything, and I got drawn for I didn't end up winning it. I got pretty much eliminated like right away. I was like, damn it! Thought I had it. I was like, this is meant to be, man.
That was a Hall Summer of Thunder or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, I never friggin' win anything when it comes to stuff like that.
Yeah.
But it was fun. It's always fun. So, well, I think it's been awesome hearing the story, man. Like I said, I was excited to talk about it. It's been something that's definitely been a staple in my life, in my friend's life. Spent a lot of time out there, especially as a kid, and excited to, as my kids get older here now, start sharing that with them and going out there with them more.
Cool.
Because they love it.
All my babies
excited.
were riding on my lap around that river out there. And just cruise.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun.
Yeah. No, that's cool. what do these kids got to pay to get in there, man? Just work a little bit.
If you're on the staff, it's free admission if you're working out there. And what they do, they put on a lot of parties for the staff, and they have a good time. I mean, they make some lifelong friends. That's pretty incredible. I mean,
that's cool. And I mean, I know just from talking with you outside of this that you guys do a lot for the community and whatnot. So I think there's a lot of things that people don't know about, but just know that it's been nice learning about that stuff, and definitely appreciative.
We do a lot. We don't go around honking our horn, but we were kind of going over a list yesterday, and probably want to add a page to our website about, our community involvement and what we're doing, like the third grade reader program, or we do a summer reading program with some libraries around Central Illinois, and just all kinds of stuff like that. I mean, it's pretty amazing.
Well, it's interesting. People are quick to not do their research or not even look into stuff like that. You know what I mean? And we definitely don't do anything on the level that you guys do, but even us, we do stuff. And it's like one of those things where it's like, well, if you just go around talking about it all the time, you just sound like what I mean? So
it's a feel good thing.
Understand.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a feel good thing. I don't need to honk my horn to do something for whoever. I mean, we just there was. Gosh, we threw out 8 or 10 things. It's like, people just don't realize what we're doing out here. I mean, it's just unbelievable. I mean, so we, and maybe it'll be a portal for them to get in to say, hey, you know what? I got this thing going on. Maybe you can help me with that. And we're always entertaining ideas like that. So
yeah, probably get approached all the time.
Yeah.
I know.
Every day.
Oh my God, 2 or 3 times a day. I know. Since owning small cakes, it's tough because, like, you want to help everybody, that comes through, because they're all usually good causes or things to help kids or help sponsor an event or whatever that is. But it's just like there's so many things, and it's like we're just not, small cakes. But, it's like I'm maxed out right now. Like I can't. I'm sorry. Like
yeah.
But it's it's awesome that you guys do that and give back. And again, it's an awesome place, and I hope that people recognize what a blessing it is to have that so close to be able to travel to and go to and enjoy.
And we appreciate them coming out and sharing with us. The really interesting thing is that you see these people, and even kids that work for us or people that came out there, that they have met their wife or whatever, and now they're bringing their kids out, or they worked out there and then they got married. And now their kids are working out there, and it's like, man, how cool is that?
Yeah, that is neat.
So they must have had a really good experience working out there. They sure wouldn't send their kids out there to get a job, I don't think. So
that's funny. Yeah, no, that's awesome. Good stories. Well, it's been awesome learning about the history, and we really appreciate you guys coming on again. Make sure you get your season pass coming up. 2 more sales before it goes to full price.
Yeah.
So it'll be $109, and then what's full price regularly?
Well, it's going to have to go to $169 this summer. So
okay. Yeah, so save $60.
The cost of operation is just skyrocketing, especially with that. It's just.
You don't got to explain to me. I hope people can understand that, because everything's more expensive. I'm sure it's crazy what COVID did. You know what I mean? It's like, come on, haven't prices come back down? You guys are still charging COVID prices. What's going on right here?
I see other parks just like, man, how can you get $200 for a season pass? And I'm like, man, I don't know. Things went up, but I don't know. We try to do it as cheaply as we can, or most cost effectively as we can.
Yeah, I mean, $109. I mean, you go out there 3 or 4 times, and you got your money's worth.
Yeah.
And you're talking 100 days that you could go out there about. Like,
yeah.
Might as well.
I think so. Cheaper than joining a health club.
Yeah. And you get a little workout in out there, man. Walking around, swimming. Yeah, that's fun.
Absolutely.
And just the kids being active, getting out from in front of TV or devices or anything like that. They're so hooked to that stuff nowadays.
I've had a little saying that a family that plays together stays together.
There you go.
That make any sense to you?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. I mean, you're going to play out in Colorado now, so, right? Hopefully.
Yeah, hopefully. We'll see. I'm a little hesitant on spending the money to do like lessons with them because I just am worried about them actually. Like, I mean, you fall a lot when you're learning to ski or snowboard, and you know, I could just see them immediately being not wanting to get back up and do it. But I don't know if they really want to do it, I'll give them a shot at it.
Get them on that bunny hill with a tow rope and teach them how to snowplow, man. There you go.
I would love if they. I mean, nothing would make me happier than getting to ride. You know what I mean, with my kids someday. That would be amazing. So hopefully they pick it up at some point, even if it's not this year.
Yeah.
So, well, Doug, it's been awesome chatting with you again. Really appreciate everything you guys do. Congratulations on 95 years. That's amazing, and it's cool to see the family. Next generation getting in there, and when you gonna retire, man? You gotta stay busy, right?
I'm just tired.
Yeah.
I tell everybody I'm gonna work till I drop, and that's what my mom and dad did. So I mean, I don't know what's the alternative? Sit on the front porch and watch the cars move by, and
can at least give them, at least can
do 12-ounce
direct
girls.
people out there.
Yeah.
Rolling around in a wheelchair someday.
Well, let's hope not, but.
No,
it might be an electric scooter, I think. These guys got me stepping into the new age.
It's important to keep your mind busy. I worked at Ace Sign Company out of college, and Dennis's parents were in there every freaking day.
Yep.
And then I left, and they were still in there, and they've both passed away now. But I was just amazed that they were still coming in every day working. But again, it's like if you don't do something to stay busy, you just kind of fall apart.
Yep.
Mine starts going, and
they were always there, man. I mean, we've done business with Ace Sign Company forever, so I know who you're talking about. Joe, and I can't remember his wife's name, but
Joe and oh my God, I can't believe I can't remember it. Joe and
it'll come to me as soon as I leave. But,
yeah.
Yeah, but she was always in the front office when you walked in. She was just such a sweet lady. I mean.
Yeah, they were great.
Yeah.
Super nice. Yeah, they gave me my first job out of school. Learned a lot there. So, all right, everybody. Well, be sure to get your $109 sale. Get your season pass. Save that $60. Again, thank you so much for coming on. It's been awesome hearing your story, and congratulations on 95 years.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Appreciate
everybody.
the time.